Well, the league is watching, y'all. When LeBron James makes a decision, everybody's paying attention, including Kevin Durant. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, live from the Xfinity studio, along with Derek, Kyle. I'm Devon. Julia is in the house hanging out with us on this Thursday. Good to have Jules hanging with us. All of you, of course, good to see you all out there as we talk about the Sixers and Kevin Durant and his thoughts on the team and LeBron James's decision and what the team is going to look like. We'll get to that a little bit in just a few minutes. We are presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more, to make sure you're good to go in your daily life, right? So when you go out there and play some ball, call Derek, Kyle, myself. We can go
I don't know if we're
ball.
going out anywhere and playing ball today. It is nasty out there.
We did get about, an hour and a half worth of Pop Shot in last night, playing until about 12:30 in the morning.
Was it 12?
It was pretty late. It was definitely after midnight.
It was late. It was a good time at the Fiddler Club, and we ran into Jay. Jay told me, got a cigar for you still.
Oh.
Still waiting. He still has a cigar for you. So Jay said next time he catches up with you, he'll make sure he has
LeBron
a cigar for
is that
you.
what we're talking about?
Yeah. So catch up with you with that one.
Perfect.
He actually had it in the truck just in case you were able to make it last night. But he'll catch up with you later. Of course, with the Ospreys, we saw Shield and Zach and Daniz and the other podcast hosts.
Brandon Graham of Brandon Graham Unblocked.
Exactly. Yes, he was there too. We met Miles, who's going to be part of the Eagles coverage for the season. Right. So it was good. It was a good turnout. And then we, Julie was bowling.
I didn't realize Julia was a bowler. Apparently Derek is a serious bowler.
What do you mean by too late in the night, Julia?
Yes. Yeah, I had to pitch in for Bo because he was making his rounds, so I had a couple of.
He's the MC.
He's the guy, MC. And Derek said,
taken care of.
"Yeah, I can't do that. I don't have my bowling ball."
No, I'm very particular.
Yeah. So there's
Didn't realize you were like Homer Simpson with your own personal bowling ball over there.
So not one, two.
About to quit the nuclear power plant so you can go work at the bowling alley.
Two and shoes, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I never did that.
I do things every day.
I guess we have to go to the bowling alley and see what that's all about.
Oh, I don't need to go lose.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in.
I like the ball. We can do it.
Yeah, we can do that. All right, so we'll do that. Hey, maybe that'll be something that we do together with the diehard members, the community, and maybe we get out there and have a good time at the bowling alley. But one thing that we do know that we're all in on, and that's the basketball team and what it looks like and the moves that they made. And right out of the chute, because of what we're about to show you, we're going to make this one our Ace Hardware temperature check immediately right from the start of the show. So if you're looking for something to be done at home, we're still in the summer. We're not rushing anything, but in case you want to get ahead of things, you can go to acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. And the project that the Sixers have put together with the front office, adding Jaylen Brown and LeBron James, we got to hear from boardroom member, podcast, the whole thing, the network, Kevin Durant, with Speedy Mormon talking about LeBron James coming to the Philadelphia 76ers and what that might look like. Speedy Mormon asked him just right out of the gate, what's it going to look like? How good could they be? And then Kevin Durant also gets into a few more things about the team in general. So here is Kevin Durant answering about the Philadelphia 76ers.
LeBron, going to Philly. What do you think about that?
There's going to be a juggernaut. That's what I think.
You think so?
Yeah. What he does actually does work. You know what I'm saying? He understands how to put a winning basketball team together. He's been in the league for 24 years. He should know how to understand how to do that. And then he knows how to put himself in position to be successful. And I feel like for him to take a minimum says a lot about his mindset and how he's going to come into the team. And they need a connector, a guys that kind of, somebody that understands like, all right, everybody's not going to average 25 points on this team. But it's going to be nice where you're going to be the man. It's going to be nice where you got to be the second guy. But it's going to be moving parts throughout the whole season. Everybody's role is going to change, and I think LeBron understands that. He's been around for so long. Then you got those guys not young either. They're 25 plus. They've been in the league for 6-7 years, played game sevens in the playoffs before. So, yeah, that's why I say about that team. They got the intelligence to make it all work.
You think it's actually going to pan out?
Yes. I think it's not no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You got to realize they also have a championship winning coach who knows how to put some pieces together, and the GM and the front office who won the championship with us with the Warriors, who know how to put a dynasty together. So, like, they got the parts right now if you're just looking at on paper, but obviously you got to play the games and you got to hope for the good health and all of that stuff. But I feel like they got the basketball minds over there to figure it out.
All right, Kevin Durant with Speedy Mormon on the Boardroom Talks podcast. And let's just start right there, Derek, with what Kevin Durant had to say about it's going to be a juggernaut. Speedy Mormon asking again, is it going to work? Yeah, it's going to work. So
he looked at him like, what are you, stupid? Yeah, it's LeBron.
So, and also, LeBron knows how to make these things work. So what did you make of the comments from Kevin Durant?
No, I generally think that any athlete or former athlete who thinks it's going to work, I love him. You're my guy. Clearly a hooper. Anyone who throws any kind of shade doesn't have any clue what he's talking about. No, I
have to defend his burner account use now. Like,
hey,
territory.
Hey, Kevin Durant is good in our eyes here.
No, I mean, look, there is a part of me that I wish we didn't have to define, is it going to work, as like, will they literally win a championship? Because I feel like whenever we talk about these super teams being put together, that is always a bar that they have to clear. And it's a very, very, like, there a lot of things have to go right, even with the best, most talented, most well-constructed team. But clearly, they're going to be very good. And what does that mean in the regular season? I'm not really sure. There's a bunch of reasons why the win total might not be quite as high as you might expect. It might just be because the East is really good and really deep. It might be because they are resting people and making sure that LeBron and Embiid specifically are healthy for the postseason. It might be because it takes some time to figure everything out. And you don't really care about how good they are in November. You care about how good they are in May and June. But I think there's no doubt that this team has as much talent as anyone in the East, has as much upside as anyone in the East. And I do think like they have the right minds to figure it out. Like I think a few of these stars, specifically LeBron and Tyrese, quite frankly, are very adaptable. I think a lot of them are very high-level decision makers who have played in high-leverage games in the NBA. So I expect that they will be incredibly good. How we define that, we will see.
So I think a really good point that KD brought up, that, I mean, we've talked about the contract that LeBron is on. We've talked about the idea of sacrifice. I don't know that we've ever really put the two together to say, because he's taking a minimum and is coming here, that already shows the mentality up front. Like, hey, I'm coming there to win, and I'm coming there with a, not necessarily like a deferential mindset, but one that's like, I'm not here for the money. I'm not here for the check. I'm not here for anything other than trying to be part of a team that can go the distance, that is going to come together to try to, be bigger than ourselves. And, I think that's a pretty important point, right? Because we see a lot of guys around the league, like James Harden. We talked about the gigantic payday that he got. KD is still being paid handsomely. Paul George, who just was here in Philadelphia and was traded, was someone who came here because he couldn't get the max that he wanted in LA, or couldn't get the Kawhi equivalent deal in LA. And so Sixers offer more. The Sixers offer a full max, and he says, hey, I'm coming on down. It does show a difference in where LeBron is at. Frankly, it shows the difference of where he's at financially with all the off court. He's in the news this week for getting a $300 million loan with the collateral of his future earnings and all that. So some of this is he's in his own tax bracket compared to some of these guys. But also, it does show, hey, I don't need this. I don't need anything other than the best basketball situation. And the way that I contribute to that is exactly what Durant is talking about. It's by, filling in different ways, not having to be the guy, the main scorer, a 25 to 30 point per game guy like he was in his prime. It's being a problem solver. It's someone who is going to play make a lot, who we've talked about. Can he average 10 assists a game and be the team's primary playmaker and use his hoops intellect in that way? So it's always fun to hear the perspectives of players, as long as they mostly agree with you, right? It's still fun to hear from Kevin Durant, even when he's clapping back at people and we're not on the same side. But I think this is, I would say, by and large, if you were to go to a lot of players, I think a lot of them probably feel this way. Not all of them will admit that publicly because a lot of them have to compete directly with them and they'll say, hey, they look good on paper, but they haven't proved this. They haven't done that. KD being in the West doesn't really have to think about them too much unless they were to meet in a final situation. But yeah, it's cool. And it's one of the many examples and snapshots of, boy, they are the talk of this offseason because nobody can avoid the topic of, hey, did you hear LeBron went to Philadelphia? It is absolutely everywhere.
No, he wants to play for the Sixers. That's what I took from that. He's like looking at this saying, yeah, I want in.
Don't you start. My next chapter photoshopped with the Sixers logo on KD's chest ready, everybody.
No, but just to hear, as Kyle said, when you have their peers, especially someone like Kevin Durant, who has that relationship with LeBron James, has competed so many times in the finals and going for those finals, NBA Finals MVPs, then seeing he and Durant together with Steph Curry, maybe their last time together for Team USA in the summer of 2024, them doing their documentary together, and then having the opportunity to just appreciate each other for the greatness that they've shown us for many, many years and shown each other when they've competed against one another. And for all the things, as Kyle said about the burner and all of that. But one thing that we all know, whether you like Kevin Durant or not, is he's brutally honest about a lot of things, and especially when it comes to basketball.
Brutally honest, except about his identity.
Well, we can get into that later. I'm standing up here for my guy, Kevin Durant. But for him to talk basketball, he's saying, look, man, yeah, there are going to be things that they have to figure out, but they're going to win a lot of basketball games. And what he's going to do is come in, be that connector, and set everything else up. They all know that they can't sit there and just think about averaging 25 points. The good part about him saying that is we've already heard that from them, at least from three of them, when it comes to Edgecombe, Maxey, and Jaylen Brown, speaking of how they have to go about and sharing the basketball and making it all work with that much talent in the starting five. So to hear it from Kevin Durant, who he did it, whether you liked it or not, he did it, and it worked when they won 2 championships. And while things may not have ended the way you wanted, heck, we're talking about if LeBron James just wins 1 in the 2 that he's here, statue right outside of the arena because of the fact that 43 years it took for them to get another one and for him to come in here and be a part of it. So to hear Kevin Durant say the things that he's saying, knowing that he's going to have to compete against this basketball team, but just knows that he always speaks about how he's a basketball fan. As a basketball fan, which we are, which all of you are, we're looking forward to seeing the basketball that's going to be played out there. And as Speedy Mormon says, do you think that's going to work? Yeah, it's going to work. Until it doesn't, and they have to figure it out. That's the part of the 82-game season that it is, of the ebbs and flows of a season where things are going to look great. They're going to go on a 3-game losing streak, and you're going to lose your mind, and then they're going to win 9 in a row to kind of calm all those things down. That's sports. We see it in baseball. After the Phillies win 9 in a row, they lose the first 2, and people are losing their minds because of what they don't have, and then okay, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber hit a home run to take the last game of the series. That's sports. But for one of the best of all time, who's still one of the best in the league at this moment, knowing he's going to have to compete against this basketball team, it was good to hear it. And good to hear the honesty and just sharing maybe some things that we didn't think about when it comes to this basketball team and the collection of talent that they have.
Yeah, and I mean, KD has seen LeBron's career from basically every angle, right? So They meet in the finals in, was it 2012? When Durant is the young guy on the young rising team, LeBron is the, more of a veteran with the ready-made type of title team, and sees like, oh, this is the finished product. KD then goes on to eventually play for the Warriors. He's on the more of the super team. He's able to beat LeBron in that way. Then he goes on to be like, he's an Olympic teammate of LeBron's. And so I think Durant probably has a lot of recent memories of that team where late in games, second halves, a lot of what it came down to was KD, LeBron, Steph Curry, and how they would problem solve the different matchups, right? So in moments where Steph Curry is going, LeBron becomes this supercharged pick and roll screener where he's a short roll guy and he's just a big body freeing up Steph, whether that's on or off the ball, and drawing attention away from Steph. You can see how that might apply to how he's going to play with Maxey, like the type of 1-4 ball screens that we saw them running in those Chris Johnson workouts. Or, there'll be times when it's more of a focus of LeBron's got the ball in his hands, LeBron's going to play point guard, or LeBron gets a switch. And while he might not have the same explosiveness that he used to, he's still a big athletic guy that if you get someone on him who's a few inches shorter, who's giving up weight to him, he is more than capable of just putting that guy through the stanchion and going and finishing at the rim, or at the very least drawing to and finding guys on the kick out. And so KD has seen all the different kind of ways that LeBron operates. He is as aware, and probably I should say he is more aware than all of us of how that plays out in a game, in a matchup, in a series. And, ultimately when you reach the level of basketball that Durant has gotten to, I think that with some rare exceptions, it gives you more appreciation for the great players and like how they go about their business. I know there are some Shaq level, like where nobody can be as good as me, and there's like the petty attitude. But most of these guys that get up into, the all-time great type conversation, they understand acutely what it takes. And so when one of those guys joins a new team and there are skeptics and doubters and whatever, they tend to say like, oh man, it's LeBron damn James. Like, of course that team is going to be great next season.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and even honestly, yeah, LeBron James, big, huge news, strong take. They were going to win 45 to 50 games even before that acquisition. Like, they were going to be a very good to incredible team. Even without that, when you just start pairing Brown with Embiid and Maxey, like, we were giddy at the fact that you finally had somebody who could drive offense in the games that Embiid missed. Now you've got one of the best passers and playmakers of all time on a minimum contract to add to it. It's why, like, yeah, there's questions about fit. There's questions about, how well they will figure it out, how quickly they will figure it out. But man, when you just start talking about the different ways they can go about attacking teams, I know Marcus was bringing it up in the chat earlier. There's just nobody who doesn't have a defender that they can't pick on and that they can't engineer mismatches to exploit. They should have so much optionality in how they attack. It'll be ridiculous.
All right, let's take our first pause of the show after saying that was our Ace Hardware temperature check presented by Ace Hardware Home Services. Make sure you check out acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. On the other side, keep the conversation going. Keep it open there. We got to get to nice little, it's a Thursday, everybody. So, what we're going to do on a Thursday because we have our.
What are we going to do?
Because we have our presenting sponsors of the show. We got a Rothman Ortho for Strength. A little bit later, we have some news and notes as well. And we're going a lot of different directions, including the Kevin Durant part and some other things that we're going to get into as well. So don't go anywhere. Hit the like button, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of what Kevin Durant had to say about this team being a juggernaut. And it's going to work overall for this basketball team, your Philadelphia 76ers. It's Derek Caldevan and Jules hanging out with us on this Thursday. All of you, of course, right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys, you've waited all year and they're finally back. Pumpkin and apple butter treats are back at Rita's. That's right. The pumpkin pie concrete is thick, creamy, and oh so delicious. Or you can try the apple butter concrete with sweet apple butter folded into creamy vanilla custard. If you're craving a shake, the apple butter milkshake is sweet, spiced. It's basically fall in a cup. And the pumpkin frozen coffee, of course, it tastes like fall in every sip. I know a lot of you out there love this time of year, and your fall favorites are back at Rita's. You download the Rita's app, order at select locations. When you sign up, you'll get a free small treat. And remember, Rita's has the best of both worlds. Fresh Italian ice with real fruit right in the store every day, plus delicious, creamy, frozen custard. Layer them together, you got Rita's most popular treat, the gelati, my favorite. Rita's is staying open into October, so celebrate fall with Rita's. Rita's, ice, custard, happiness. You guys already know it. Be cool. Go to Rita's.
If you've been sitting on a business idea, honestly, there's never been an easier time to make it happen. Shopify takes away so much of the guesswork because everything you need to start selling is already built in from day one. Whether you're selling merch, apparel, or anything else, getting your storefront up and running is surprisingly simple. What really stood out to me was how seamless the checkout experience is. Customers can get through checkout quickly, and then when they come back, information is already saved, so buying again is just one tap away. You hear that sound right there. That means you spend less time worrying about the technical stuff and more time doing what actually grows your business, creating new products, connecting with customers, and building your brand. It's so simple that there's no surprise. Shopify powers everyone from brand new entrepreneurs to huge companies like Mattel and Gymshark. Don't forget about PHLY Sports. If you got an idea you've been thinking about, stop waiting and start building. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. One more time, shopify.com/allcity. Back here on the PHLY Sixers pod, Derek, Kyle, Devon, and Jules. Hit the like button, y'all. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it. As always, Kevin Durant singing the praises of the offseason. He also just mentioned in there too, Kyle, where he talked about having the front office and Bob Myers. Really didn't get into the Mike Gansey part, but he talked about the dynasty that when you look at what the players are going to do, don't forget that the dynasty in Golden State was also a part of what Bob Myers had his hands on and why this whole thing could also work. And I know we just talked about that too recently with the Bob Myers piece of it because he was on the podcast with the cousins, Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. But again, Kevin Durant just simply pointing out something that is pretty simple of, hey, these guys have a lot of people in the organization who have had success in winning.
Yeah, and I wonder if part of that is KD looking back on his time in Golden State being like,
had it good.
I had it pretty good there. I don't know that he would ever actually come out and say that, right? Because I think that would probably be an admission of I shouldn't have let that whole thing fall apart. And that's not to say that it's all his fault, right? Like Draymond, I think very obviously is a tough guy to work with every day, his basketball talents and his defensive talents notwithstanding. But I think you can hear a little bit of the career regret that KD feels because, if he stays there, even if they change the team because it's like, hey, we're picking KD over Draymond Green, you still ultimately have the spine of a team that is Kevin Durant and Steph Curry without Draymond and with Clay ultimately after those injuries not quite being the same player after that. So I think a little bit of that is certainly the respect for Bob and the respect for what the Sixers have and are building. I think some of it is probably internally thinking about, things that I thought at the time were a bigger deal or that I let my judgment get clouded a little bit. Sure wish I could have one or two of those decisions back from back in the day.
Yeah, no, and like it is, it's one where you really give a lot of people a lot of credit. And obviously KD has that firsthand experience with Bob, so he's going to go there. Gansey deserves a ton of credit. Maxey for his recruitment effort deserves a ton of credit. So yeah, I think we're going to spend a lot of time, especially before the games start, giving people their credit.
They're just due.
Yep.
Overall. So yeah, good to hear it. Great to hear it. I'm sure we'll hear a lot of it, especially once we get closer to when media days start to roll around for the NBA, especially in the Eastern Conference. They're most likely going to ask about the 76ers off season.
Jason Tatum, I can bet you, is going to get asked. All the Knicks guys will get asked.
The Lakers people, those guys will get asked. So
I almost feel like we need to go to Boston Media Day just to see that happen.
They're on
divide and
different
conquer.
days.
Yeah.
They're on different days, or as you said, divide and conquer. Maybe head up there and do just that. But with it, you're also looking at just a summer that's huge for VJ Edgecombe and what we expect of him. And with him, though, we saw he played in FIBA early on for the Team Bahamas, played some basketball with them early on. NBA Twitter account recently put out, once again, Derek, his numbers and what he was able to do in those earlier highlights that we saw from VJ Edgecombe. This was even before all the Jaylen Brown and LeBron James news really started to pop. But with that, it looks like he's maybe not playing in
which I was
FIBA.
Pretty surprised,
right?
Because
and I just saw Rui's numbers where Rui Hachimura just put up 29 on 11 and 13 shooting with like 3 threes and 3 for 4 from 3, just a great game. And you feel like VJ could probably go in there and have some more success in getting ready for the upcoming campaign.
So I don't want to speculate too much because I haven't actually heard from anybody why VJ might not be there. I was very surprised though, given that he played early in the summer.
He was great.
And number one, looked awesome. He shot 55% from 3 and again in 2 games, and one of those games they played Jamaica, and I don't even remember who's on Jamaica, but it did not seem like a fair fight. Like they ran up the score, and it was a little bit of an embarrassment for the reggae boys down there. So felt a little bit bad for them as VJ tore them up. But yeah, I'm surprised because he's taken great pride in playing for his country, got the opportunity first as a teenager, and that's when he really put himself on the scouting radar. I wonder how much of it is his own choice and saying like, hey, we're this close to the training camp and the season starting. It's only a month out. And I'm trying to get, in the mix with my teammates. Like we've seen him in the gym with Tyrese and LeBaron.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he wants to get in the gym with Jalen and LeBron, if that's possible. I've seen him in the gym with Joel in Philadelphia, of course, too. So I was surprised because people had pointed out he wasn't listed on the roster. I think it was yesterday or a couple of days ago. But there was an assumption like, hey, maybe he's just going to be a late ad as he gets down there late for whatever else is going on in his offseason. So I'm disappointed he's not playing, not because I think it matters particularly much at this stage of the offseason, but because getting to see him play and play in a role where he's become like the featured guy for them on the perimeter. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. And he's going to get a lot of shots up. That's something I'm really interested in because we don't know how plentiful those opportunities will be here in Philadelphia this year and next.
Yeah, probably just from a preparation standpoint, you can make an argument. Hey, spend your time in Camden, spend your time in LA, work out with your future teammates, rather than traveling all over to play basketball. But to Kyle's point, selfishly, we could have gotten to see him play some actual basketball games rather than getting a couple of clips on Twitter and Instagram every now and then. So I would have taken that. But I understand if he made the decision not to.
Yeah, a little bummed out, selfishly, because that will give us something to talk about in the offseason with some actual basketball
we care
games
about
being played. It's all about us. But yeah, just to get some more reps in with those guys and being a leader of that basketball team. And with that, coming back here, not to saying that he doesn't already have that confidence coming back from the summer, coming back from the offseason where he's going to be ready to go, feeling like he belongs out there with the other four starters on the floor. But just to see him out there, seeing an opportunity, see some of the growth. We saw some of the highlights early on, and we talked about those in the moment. But to get a chance to see him one more time before we get to training camp and give him an opportunity to go out there and spread his wings once again, it would have been really fun to watch. But that's just me being selfish again. But risking the injury and all that, maybe if that's a part of it, then I understand why he may take a step back this particular offseason and decide not to do that. Look, if he thinks they're going to make a deep run, then while he does have those young legs, hey, just go out there and continue to work out like you have been in the offseason, not go play those games, and just be ready to go because he is most likely going to play the most basketball he's ever played in one particular season once he gets started in October and straight through maybe even June for the 76ers. So
it's not like we're worried about VJ not having played basketball this summer or having been in the gym.
Yeah.
By all accounts, he has been working diligently to work on the shot, work on his handle. We've seen him at Rico Hines runs. We've seen him in the gym with Joel, with Tyrese, with LeBaron. Like, there is no doubt that his time is being spent on his craft and with his teammates. We even saw, I don't know if we've brought it up on the show, but he visited Tyrese and was hanging out with Tyrese's new kid recently. Uncle Valdez, I think Tyrese called him, which is very funny after our whole thing on the show where people were like, how could someone named Valdez be a great basketball player? All that nonsense from last year. So he has been immersed in basketball all offseason as we expected. If he's just trying to, get in the lab with his teammates and lock in on the season instead of, international ball, I can respect that, especially because I think we've seen the other side of it where, you remember, we always used to talk about going into seasons with Dario Saric early in his career. Like,
very tired.
Boy, he's tired. Yep. He's got dead legs going into camp and preseason, and he just never felt like he came in like, oh, I'm refreshed. I went home for the summer and I just got to hang out a little bit, work on my body, do all that. Now, I don't know if he was doing all the other work that he needed to, if he came back tired from simply playing basketball. But if VJ's trying to avoid a talking point like that, certainly that would be okay with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that there. I am.
No, and it really is one where like I would have understood either decision that he made. If you want to go play for his country, I understand 100%. I support that. If he wants to, realize he's got a long season that's going into May and hopefully June, and he wants to prepare for that with his new teammates, I completely understand that as well. There were no wrong decisions in this case. There are selfish decisions from our perspective of getting to watch basketball, but I understand both directions.
It's all about us. It's always all about us. We don't care what everybody else thinks. All right, let's take our second pause of the show. When we come back, more to get to, including we talked about the over-under on the Sixers and their chances of winning a certain number of games, and that was about 50.5. And we had a few people in the chat say, I'm hammering that 50.5. Give me that at plus
55.
I'm putting $100 down on that. Well, we got some predictions from ESPN on what they think the Eastern Conference standings will look like and where the 76ers will end up with their number once the season actually gets underway. We'll give you that, including we ask you to hit the like button, like and subscribe, leave a comment. We appreciate you. As always, when we come back, we'll get into more of the Sixers conversation, including the record and much more news and notes later. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast. Don't go anywhere. It's from the PHLY Sixers podcast, and the heat and humidity, is it sneaking in? AC not cranking like it should? Don't worry. Ace Hardware Home Services has got you covered. From the fluctuation of the weather here in the area, where one day it's 98 degrees, another day it's 78, well, kind of gets in the way, and maybe things have gotten a little bit off track for you as you try to stay cool and up to date on the weather. From AC repairs to water heaters, plumbing, and electrical, their trusted local pros bring the same helpful service you know from Ace right to your home. Whether it's a quick fix or a bigger summer project, they've got plenty of tools, the know-how, and the people to get it done right. Ace Hardware Home Services, bringing helpful to your home. So we still have plenty of summer left. And if it's acting up, the AC, HVAC acting up just a little bit too much, check out our good friends at acehardwarehomeservices.com today to get started. Football is almost back, y'all. I can't wait. You can't wait. And you know what? We have a new wrinkle here with Splash Sports and All Cities $500,000 Survivor contest. That's life-changing money, everybody. You could do a lot with $500,000, and that's just off of football, right? What could you do with it? Plenty. We all know how Survivor contests work. You pick the straight-up winners each week, and you can't use the same team twice. I have some teams already in mind. Make the right picks throughout the season to avoid being eliminated. This contest has a guaranteed $500,000 payout. Let me say it again. Guaranteed $500,000 payout. Sign up today so you're ready for week one. Just go to allphly.com/survivor. $500,000 up for grabs. So enter today at allphly.com/survivor. That's allphly.com/survivor. Sponsored by Splash Sports. Paid partnership, skill-based contest. No sports betting. Open to U.S. residents 18+. Void where prohibited. Entry fee $25. Rules at splashsports.com/allcity. Back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, Derek, Kyle, Devon, and Jules, all of you. We appreciate it as we get ready and get closer to, media day, training camp. Still a little over a month away, but we'll get there. We'll get there, everybody. We're going to be here with you the rest of the way to get you prepared for all the things and talking about Valdez holding up Tyrese Maxey's young child, all the cool stuff. It's where we are, though. That is where we are. And it is cool though. I mean, he's
Uncle
Valdez hanging out with, and holding the baby, and I'm looking at him like, maybe pull the baby in a little bit closer. You know what I'm saying? I was scared. I was come on, VJ.
Speaking from experience, if you're not regularly holding babies, there is a learning curve on that one where it's like,
and that's always, isn't that always the way? Like when you see them, nobody cradles the baby. Everybody always holds the baby out like this.
You never really know until you do it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. But all right, let's talk about the numbers. And I haven't checked. It was 50.5 the last time when we were talking about this as the odds of where the over-under for the Sixers to win basketball games during the regular season. So if I take a quick peek here and look at the sports book and just see exactly where the futures are for the number, it remains around that number. But ESPN, they did their predictions, and with them, Kyle, I know you had them up. So
I do.
With them, who do they have at least with the highest number in the Eastern Conference in terms of wins?
So ESPN has labeled 5 teams as the contenders in the Eastern Conference. This is the order and record. They actually have 2 teams tied at the same number, 53 wins, or projected at 53 wins. The defending champions, the New York Knicks, makes a lot of sense, and the Detroit Pistons, who were the 1 seed last year. In third, they have the Cleveland Cavaliers at 51 wins, the Sixers at 50, and Boston at 48. So I understand the Knicks part, certainly. Like they deserve credit as the incumbent and the defending champion. No real questions to answer beyond what is the drop off from Mitchell Robinson to Andre Drummond at the backup center position. Detroit is a win drop, but being given some respect. Okay, I could see that. We'll see how the Jalen Durant thing pans out, but they're a young team. Expect them to be competitive. Cleveland ahead of the Sixers, I think, is interesting. I
agree.
They've been very good in the regular season. Been a pretty consistent top 4, 50-plus win team. Like they struggled out the gate last year and still managed to put together a good regular season, but feel like they either got worse or I would say probably more realistically they're a neutral. And the fact that they're leaning toward them when James Harden, I normally am out and defending relative to the public, but I do think we're probably at the point where it's like one of these years he's just not going to play almost every game, and if he doesn't, then you're down to Mitchell, Mobley, Allen as your main drivers. You're betting a lot on Peyton Watson on that contract. Like he has to perform based on what they gave him. And they gave up like Max Strus for whatever his weaknesses are, is a pretty sturdy and reliable role player in that spot. So it's interesting that they are being given a little bit more credit. I suppose you would say they're probably just viewed as less volatile. Like they're more institutional pieces, and they've proven over some time, like they're not as susceptible to the health issues that Joel Embiid is, certainly. And then you bring in, a 40-plus-year-old LeBron, and the Sixers could not only take some time to develop chemistry, they could just be beset by injuries, and maybe that puts a limit on their ceiling. But along with that, I think ESPN and other places have said they have maybe the highest ceiling in the East and one of the highest ceilings in the league. So it's the difficult part for people who are betting on it or trying to predict, as we will when we get closer to the season, is it feels like the range for the Sixers is still pretty wide, even though they got much more talented this offseason.
By the way, Cleveland right now is sitting at 47.5 for an over-under, where the Sixers are currently still at 50.5.
No, and on the one hand, I feel like the Sixers have a wide range, but it's not like in the past when we said that, it was like they could win anywhere from 30 games to 50 games. Like there was a real low end there. Right now, it feels like the range has shifted upward quite a bit, but the range is more like 45 to like 58. Like it's still a pretty big range, but it doesn't feel like there are very many outcomes where it's bad. And I think when you look at some of these win totals, because they're always lower than you expect, because historically, there are 1 or 2 teams every year that win 55 to 60 games in the Eastern Conference. And very rarely, I think there's 3 things that why, the best team, only 53 wins, that's very low. On the one hand, the tanking rules. Like, are you scared that Brooklyn or Milwaukee's going to be a good team? No, but they might randomly steal a February win, whereas in years past, they wouldn't do that.
Devon's got Julius Randle going off in one of those games.
Then there's always the injury concern and the fact that the Sixers are going to have some players that they're prioritizing keeping healthy. And then there's also just like the top ends of these projections always get crushed. Like the top teams are going to end up having more wins than the predictions earlier. And there's very rarely someone that you predict, hey, that team's going to win 58 games. Like it happens, but very rarely is that a preseason projection. So I think like the Sixers, I would probably go over on the 50. We're not there yet. I'm not making an official prediction, but it seems like that would be a pretty reasonable bet.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's a little bit over the 50.5 number that they put out there right now. I understand because of the Embiid part and the LeBron James age factoring into it. But even before this LeBron James move, when the Jaylen Brown acquisition was made, we were looking at them saying, after the Anthony Simons move especially, oh, they're going to win close to 50 games. Then you add LeBron James. So that's why I push it over that 50.5 number.
I think what was really interesting, they had 10 teams in the East above 500. That's very, very rarely does that happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about how dominant the West has been for so long that I think it snuck up on people. Like, I think there are some great elite teams in the West. The bottom of the conference is bad. And I'm not super impressed with like the overall depth of the conference compared to years past. I think the East is going to be really tough. And as we say that,
can we get to a full strength here, Jules? Let's make this the full strength. Presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more. Make sure you go check them out, because right now, Kyle, with this new breaking news, things are starting to really shape up. Full strength for the team that you're about to mention.
So the Miami Heat have apparently agreed to a 1-year deal with free agent center Nick Richards following the recent acquisition of Klay Thompson. That's a guy that we talked about quite a bit early in the offseason as a potential third big, or I think, quite frankly, I would play him over a Dembona. So he's more your night-to-night backup, and then Bona's in competition with him for the direct backup minutes. I'm not sure if that shifts anything in terms of like how I think of the Heat. I do think it's a good signing, just in the sense that 1 year is implying that he got a minimum. And if you're getting Nick Richards on the minimum, I think that's a good value contract late in the offseason. That's somebody who sees a path to some playing time and I think is good enough to be, a full-time backup type guy. Now, could he have been the, let's say he's got to start half the season based on Joel's recent track record? Do I think he's good enough for that role? I'm a little less sure about that.
Even with the supporting cast?
With this, I mean, the supporting cast would
especially
help.
when you have the guys in Bona and Porty there.
Yeah.
I feel way more comfortable, I think, with Nick Richards.
Yeah, I would be more comfortable with him than either Huck Porty or Bona. They are betting on one of those guys, if not both of those guys, to outperform their previous production. But, good pickup for the Heat. Someone that we looked at for quite a while as a potential value signing. So good move on their part, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, for a minimum, you do wonder like what he was looking for. Were the Sixers interested at all? Obviously, at this point, they have very little flexibility, but it does, like we have talked, like Kyle mentioned, for the last month and a half. I actually cannot believe how much Nick Richards has been talked about. It feels like from a talent and impact to discussion discrepancy, there is quite a range there. But the Sixers, they need backup big man depth more than most teams in the league. And you have two guys who are relatively unproven that we're not 100% fully confident in that role.
He takes up the Khalil Ware minutes there in Miami, backing up Bam Adebayo, maybe occasionally starting depending on the matchup and how they want to do things. Now with Giannis, probably unlikely he gets to start those games like Khalil Ware did, but that's a good pickup this late in the game for the Miami Heat to just add to their depth where they can throw out real pros on the floor with that overall group of talent that they have.
The other thing I would add is, if you're trying to look at this through a Sixers lens, assuming the Sixers are healthy, if they happen to see Miami in the playoffs, that's not a backup big that I think scares me at all. That's the type of player that Joel should be able to dominate if he can either they find cross matches with, Bam's on the bench and they bring Joel in, or Bam is in foul trouble. That's somebody that Joel that's shark in bloody waters right there. So I guess, there are not a lot of those guys who are not good enough to be regular starters or are, paid to be backups who actually give Joel problems. And I think a great example of that is just that Mitchell Robinson was that guy, but now he's someone who got paid a good chunk of money to go be a starter somewhere. So it's hard to keep more than one big on a roster who's good enough to deal with him, and then have a second guy who's like, oh, I can still stand up with Joel in the post. So I don't think that changes this matchup at all. It'll be mostly Joel versus Bam. How do you problem solve that matchup?
That's our Rothman Orthopedics Full Strength presented by good people from Rothman Orthopedics. Make sure you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more. Final segment on the other side. That's where we get into our news and notes. And we'll probably take a little bit more time to talk about one in particular. So don't go anywhere. It is basketball related. But now we talked about the Miami Heat. Let's talk about this other news and notes and the team that is going to be mentioned in this one. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast. Final segment. Stay with us.
Guys, next up, we're going to tell you about Xfinity, specifically their 5-year price guarantee. Because what if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like a super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. Here's the best part. There's no annual contracts, there's no hidden fees, and you get Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lock and change in 5 years. For example, Paul George has been traded 3 different times. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
You know those moments when you're not looking to get a full meal, you just want a little something extra? That's exactly where Wawa comes in. Wawa has become my go-to anytime that I'm craving a sweet treat. And let me tell you, we are a big sweet treat household. Love walking down the street, stopping by Wawa, and getting whatever I think I'm in the mood for at the time. If you're feeling something rich, creamy, you've got the strawberry cheesecake cream smoothie. If you want something that tastes like summer, there's a pina colada float. I'm going to have to get one of those today, honestly. Or if you're looking something you can really dig into, the caramel cookies and cream parfait is seriously hard to beat. I love some caramel at almost any time of the year. That might be on the menu for me soon too. It's perfect as an afternoon pick-me-up. It's a little reward after a long day or even a late night dessert run. We love those. No matter what you're craving, Wawa's got ice cream parfaits, floats, and cream smoothies. They're ready whenever you are. You guys already know it. You gotta have a Wawa.
All right, final segment here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Make sure you also go sign up to join the diehard community. We have the new levels that we have for everybody, so you can get to the different tiers, the $36 tier.
Seen some of you guys popping up, some newbies in the Discord this week, which has been fun because, like we keep telling you, the Discord is active off season, certainly in season. That game day chat, there's like inside jokes upon inside jokes for the people who are there. So that new $36 tier, you get Discord access. You get all the articles from Derek, myself, EJ, Charlie, Corey, like across all the sports. So we were going to be very busy with that. And then, of course, Devon, there's the $80 tier with the merch, the events, all the other fun perks that come along with it.
Yep. So make sure you go to allphly.com, sign up. There are levels, everybody, and you can take advantage of those levels, whatever works best for your bank account, your pocketbook, your purse, whatever works for you. There's something there for you here with the community at AllPHLY, and of course, allphly.com in general. So please go sign up. It's going to be a huge, huge calendar year for us all when it comes to basketball, baseball playoffs getting underway, hockey, exciting season coming off of the playoffs last year, and the Philadelphia Eagles with the new look offense that they have, and always a team that's going to compete in the NFC. So make sure you go sign up, allphly.com. All right, let's get to some news and notes here. On this good Thursday.
Got a big one.
Early news and notes. And the big news and notes item that we start off with that's going to need a little bit more conversation, Derek, is because this guy's been on NBA minds or basketball minds all off season. What's going to happen with Jonathan Kuminga? Well, what happened with Jonathan Kuminga is he went and signed a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves that was announced yesterday evening. 2 years, $13 million deal to sign with the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards appears to be, based on what Shams was saying, a big driving force into this for the recruitment. Tim Connolly, the president of basketball ops, making sure this happens. He's going to slide now into that starting role that was vacant because of the Julius Randle trade, Naz Reid's trade as well, to acquire LaMelo Ball. Jonathan Kuminga, maybe not what he thought once he finally got out of Golden State, goes to Atlanta, hits the market, 2 years, 13.
Yeah, I mean, do you start Kuminga or do you start Io as a smaller?
It seems like they promised him a starting role.
We have been saying Io all along, but they're saying starter.
I mean, he turned down a pretty significantly larger deal with the Lakers, so you assume he went there because he feels like he can showcase himself for his next contract, which it feels like he's been doing for like 3 straight years.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe just go to a team that you can fit in and win in long term, and maybe not think the big next payday is going to be finally the big payday that you've been after. Look, on the one hand, like they're a team that plays relatively up pace and should play even more up pace. Now with LaMelo in there, they're a team that shoots decently well. Although there's been some changes to the roster, so we'll see whether or not that carries over. But they've got maybe not so much in the front court. Although McDaniels took a pretty big jump as a shooter over the last couple of years, so we'll see whether that maintains. But
he was cooking Denver too.
He was absolutely.
That series, man.
Talking
it too.
Boy, was
yes.
So in theory, I think I sort of get the fit of adding a slashing, maybe decent defensive forward. We were talking about this during I just don't 100% believe in Kuminga.
It's him.
And believe in what's going. Like, it's one of those guys who on the one hand, it's like, yeah, it's a pretty good contract. The value makes sense. And on the other hand, it's like, I don't necessarily know if I want him on my team in the role that he wants. And I think that's always going to be sort of like the problem with Kuminga, or at least until he gets settled into his next contract.
So I want to bring back a quote from his agent from I think it's last offseason.
Yeah.
It certainly is not from this offseason, where he said, quote, "Everybody's like, Aaron effed up." He used the actual word. I'm like, hold on, did I fumble something? Because fumbling would mean, like, next year, if JK is making $10 million a year, you could say I fumbled by not taking, and this is the contract Kuminga was offered, one of them, 3 years for $75 million. You can't say I fumbled because I didn't fumble anything yet. Well,
You fumbled.
I think it's safe to say you fumbled. That is not 3 for 75.
No, it's not.
It is not approaching that. It's nowhere near that. So I will say I don't like this almost at all, other than the value of the contract, which I do think, like, whatever. It's not a significant deal. It's a still young player, which is crazy to say because I feel like I've been hearing about Kuminga for a decade at this point with all the hoopla surrounding him. And, you take a punt on him. I think he'll rebound. Like, he'll do some of the things that they need at the position, like split between like 3-4 basically. But one, I don't think he's that good. Two, I think this is kind of a disaster scenario for what Minnesota needs, where they're bringing in a high volume, high usage guy in LaMelo. They already have Ant, who is, the guy. And now you're bringing in a guy who the only reason he is essentially on your team is because he, from what we can tell, was promised a really important role. And from what we know about Jonathan Kuminga, he wants to be a featured player. Like, he wants touches, he wants shots. And it was the whole reason that he had a falling out with Steve Kerr and the Warriors, and that system didn't really work for him because what was asked of him there was buy in, sacrifice, care more on defense, chip in different ways, and the shots will come, the money will come, the opportunity will come. And it just doesn't feel like the right sort of guy and player to tie that team together. Like, I think somebody like Dante, who they had, was still on the roster, but now is out because he suffered that injury in the playoffs. Someone who has consistently played kind of that fifth starter, spot up shooter, just focus on defense and spot up shooting type of role. If you could get that type of guy in like a 3-4 sized body, would have been perfect. That's not who Kuminga is. Kuminga is someone who wants the ball in his hands and wants to control things. And frankly, he's going to be out there because of how the contract situation played out, gunning for his own opportunities. And I think that just adds more downside and volatility to a group that didn't really need that. It's not so much a mark against him as I think a mismatch for what I believe the team needs and what his skill set is. Like, I think he probably would have benefited more too from going to not even necessarily a bad team, but a team with lesser expectations where he could be more of that featured guy. And then maybe you figure out, hey, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. Instead, I think he ends up in a similar situation as in Golden State where, yeah, maybe because he was given assurances, he gets early playing time and starting opportunities. I think, quite frankly, Chris Finch is going to be driven crazy by this guy. And I think eventually Io, who they give a ton of money to, and I think right away bought into everything they wanted to do, and frankly has been that type of guy since he's been in the league, is just going to take his minutes and opportunities, and he's going to end up right back in the same place. So I would be happy to be wrong. I don't have anything, against Jonathan Kuminga necessarily. I don't like the fit for either party, though.
I don't like the fit either. I mean, look, as much as I get on Julius Randle for who Julius Randle has been, Julius Randle is a much better player. Yes, he costs way more. But even when the Julius Randle move went down, I was very interested to see Naz Reid finally getting an opportunity to start within that system that they have where it has worked, where he's won 6 Man of the Year. He's been really good, and their closing lineups can play the 4, can play the 5 for that basketball team. But they moved on. And then you get Jonathan Kuminga on a cheap, but maybe this was the number that was always what he was supposed to be paid and not that $30 million a year or any of those other numbers that Aaron fumbled and did not make it work, where this is just the player that maybe he is until he realizes that then this is what it's going to be. And now he's going to go into a spot where, as Derek pointed out, Jay McDaniels was good last year. And you know when he was the best in the playoffs. So he believes in himself and what he's able to do. Yes, the defense, that's what we look at him for when it comes to what Jaden McDaniels' profile is. We start with the defense, but the offense has shown up. And if that's the case, he's not just going to let somebody walk in there and take his shots and as if he's the more integral part for what they do. Now, a guy that can run and slash and keep up with LaMelo because of the style of play, sure. But again, when we get to the playoffs, LaMelo Ball hasn't done it, and neither has Jonathan Kuminga. You know who has? Anthony Edwards. And we just talked about Jaden McDaniels. So I don't like the spot either. The Ayo Dosunmu piece of it. Terrence Shannon has shown some things too, where there was even talk about him being a starter even before they moved Naz Reid. And I'd imagine that he's going to come into camp hungry as well, believing that he should have had an open opportunity to maybe take that starting role as well. So don't like the move. They got him at a cheaper number. And all right, now he's got to go out there and show it again. How many more times is he going to have to go out there and just simply show it again before we actually see him live up to the expectations that he was drafted for high in the lottery?
Doesn't it just kind of feel like he's on a Jeremy Grant career trajectory? Like he's this generation's Jeremy. No, but I mean, like in terms of prioritizing what he's prioritizing.
Yeah.
Like it seems like because I still think he could theoretically fill a role on a good team. It just seems like that's not what he's after at this point.
He hasn't accepted it yet. No. So now he's just chasing the money. He's continuing every offseason now. He's chasing, trying to get back the money that he left last offseason. Let's hit overtime, everybody. Thank you on the television side. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. for a Friday closeout show. If you want to continue watching, head on over to allphly.com.
Real quick on the Dosunmu part, though. Like, look, maybe Dosunmu Ayo just doesn't care. Maybe he's like, all right, look, if starting means a lot to him, I'll come off the bench. That's fine.
And he's going to get his minutes.
But shouldn't you prioritize keeping the guy who, A, you gave $112 million to this past offseason, and B, the guy who's just fundamentally a better basketball player? Like, long term, look, again, maybe Ayo's saying all the right things and he doesn't really care. But long term, I would prioritize that guy, personally.
So I also think this is a great example of something we've talked about on the show this offseason, which is the NBA is moving away from paying guys like Kuminga. They're paying a lot more people who are like the Alex Carusos of the world, the Ayo Dosunmus of the world, people who, they don't necessarily have to have the ball all the time. That they're willing to commit to, I'm going to go guard the opposing team's best player. And I'm okay just being a catch and shoot player at times, change a pace guard, like whatever I have to do to help the team impact winning. And like they're still dribble, pass, shoot guys in different ways, like people who bring offensive skill of some sort to the table. Caruso less so, but Ayo has his things that he does well. I just think that if you are I'm not calling Kuminga a star, but like he is in that flawed star or like flawed on-ball guy bucket where all of his value, or like 80 to 90% of his value, comes from, well, he can be a shot creator. He can be someone who can go out there, get points for himself and not do a whole lot else, right? Because I think anyone who's like, well, he's got the tools to be a defender. Well, that's great. He hasn't been a defender in basically any measurable or meaningful way in the pros. So I don't, I get it. Like, you're taking an upside swing because he has those tools, because it's hard to find guys with those tools who can go get their own shot and score at a level, that he can when his game is on. But I think more and more the league has gone away from these guys. So like if they can't do that, or they're having a poor game, that they're bringing nothing else to the table. You either have to be at a star level in that way where you're doing it every night, you're scoring 20 points a game, you're doing it on pretty good efficiency, or you better be filling the box score, I'm getting 3-4 assists, I'm getting 6-7 rebounds. Rebounding is a way that I think he can contribute. Hey, I can guard the other team's best player on a consistent basis. Not like, hey, I did it a few possessions and I did it for a game or two. I'm doing it every night. I'm doing it for months at a time. And I think that's why he finds himself where he does. Like, when he came out into the draft, of course, like, you get a lot of benefit of the doubt. Like, hey, maybe he can do all these things. He's been in the league long enough where it's like, if you were going to be some of these things and do some of these things, you probably would have shown that by now. I get it. Like, I didn't mean to say that the Warriors were not at fault for, how things spiraled out of control there. Of course, like, how Kerr used him, how they developed him, how they choose to, put him in lineups, like, all those things impact his career too. But at a certain point, you have to look around and look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, I had a lot of opportunity, and frankly, an opportunity to get paid a lot of money by a team that drafted me. And now I'm on a 1+1 that really is like a prove it type situation, or your career could go real downhill in a hurry. Yeah. So I think it should be a warning to guys that, look, I get it. You want to be a bucket guy. Yeah. And I think he is very talented when he's on, but there's got to be more to it. There's got to be a willingness at some point to say, maybe I'm not that guy, but I have the tools within me in that. That would be my challenge to him.
No, I think he really has to get it out of his head that he is an on-ball creation guy and embrace being the defender, being the off-ball cutter, becoming a better shooter, which he's never been able to develop to this point. Because I just don't look, he's only 23. He has time to develop. I don't think he is fundamentally good enough to drive winning basketball as an on-ball creator on a regular basis. And I think he has a lot of work to get there, and I don't really think he should be working on that. Like I said, I think he should be working on more of those ancillary off-ball skills, because I do think like he's got the physical tools to be a defender. He certainly has the physical tools, got in transition to be an off-ball cutter, and I think that's the role where he could actually be valuable to a team. It just doesn't seem to be the one that he really wants right now.
But my one issue with him, even though he is still very young, is that he came from a great place in Golden State, where the ecosystem, everything, the championships, the winning, it's there. He's seen it. And we always talk about Steph Curry being, if not one of the best teammates, one of the best teammates of all time, and how things are run there. And he comes from that spot, but he could never allow himself to really see it, to both of your point. And then when we also talk about the ultimate role player, he's going to be a Hall of Famer and embrace the way that he did it as a second-round pick, and that's Draymond Green. Say what you want about him. The guy is, for what he is, he's never as athletic as Jonathan Kuminga, but he found a way to make himself as important as he was. Now, he got lucky in being with two of the greatest shooters of all time, and one for sure in Steph Curry. But again, he embraced that. He made sure he found a way to stay really relevant in the league for a long time. And that's probably going to lead to a Hall of Fame career with multiple championships on his resume. And that's my one issue with Jonathan Kuminga, is coming from that spot and seeing both cases where you have so many players in the league and they have the rookie transition program and they have these people sit down and talk with the players. And many players in the past have said, you have to make sure you put your ego aside just enough to know that sometimes you have to find your place in the league for what is going to keep you in the league for as long as you want to be in the league and make the money that you feel you're deserving of. He has really yet to do that. And then he gets to Atlanta where they had something really good going on there going into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And he had a good role. He had some really good moments. And now he goes into this spot. He's going to another good coach. Chris Finch is a really good coach. Now, Chris Finch is probably going to pull his hair out, but if he listens, he can definitely learn and find his way. And once again, he's now going to a spot where Jay McDaniels was known as a big-time scorer. Kyle, you always talk about going back scholastically. He was known as a really good scorer. Mm-hmm. And then he goes into Washington. He was still a pretty decent scorer, but once he got to the league, a late first-round pick, he had to figure out, what's my best way? He found his way. Now he has a bunch of money, all NBA defensive type player, and his offense is starting to catch up again this many years in the league.
It's really fascinating to me why, or like, I would love to get inside some of these guys' heads where I completely understand why all young players go through the process of like, hey, I've been the man my whole life. You were the best player on every AAU team. Or for most guys, it's most AAU teams you play for. There are some exceptions because some of them are loaded, but every AAU team, every high school team, every college team you play for, like, you are the star player, face of the program, this and that. Now in the NIL era too, you're getting paid like millions of dollars. I get why when you get to the NBA and all of a sudden you're like seventh guy on the totem pole, or even if you're higher than that, it's just like Steph Curry's the guy, Clay, Draymond, like whoever's there, that it's hard to figure out how to go from the mentality of I got to kill everybody and be the person that everything is built around every night to I have to help things work for Steph and Clay and Draymond. Like, that's a really difficult thing to do just on a mental level, let alone the basketball execution side of it. But it's fascinating to me why some guys go in one direction and, end up with shorter careers. And you have other guys like, one of the best examples is like Shane Battier, for example. He entered the NBA with like all-time resume in terms of like won everything, was, super high recruit, this and that. And then like has to reinvent himself as you're just the ultimate glue guy. And like, I don't know why or how, like if it's people around you, if it's just things that happen in your life, if it's the right coach, the right system, it's always a combination of things. But it's the thing that is so hard to try to pinpoint when, if you're drafting guys in, teens, 20s, whatever it might be, who is going to break out of that, those habits that they're in and buy into winning. Like you never know. And you never know who's also going to be like, Kuminga gets taken high. Maybe he's just going to be good enough that he could be the guy that he believes he is. And maybe he does eventually get that opportunity and prove he can be that guy, but it hasn't come for him yet.
No, but Battier is a good name to throw out there because he was a 6th overall pick. Like, he was a very high pick who, like you said, had that kind of resume and still had the wherewithal to change how he played at this level. Some guys can, some guys struggle with that.
Well, I guess Aaron ultimately fumbled the bag for Jonathan Kuminga, as he said. Lastly, just real quick, football on the basketball show, y'all. We got a little news and notes for football. Pro Bowl is no longer. It's
good riddance.
It's gone.
When was the last time you guys actually watched a Pro Bowl?
Never.
It might be like
so
at least 20 years.
So we were not an all-star game in general household growing up. So it was not. I mean, we've had these conversations like basketball, because it's what I was really into. I would watch basketball All-Star games, but even those, rarely was it like a start to finish.
Yeah.
The one exception was, the Iverson year, the famous one we always talk about, where
DC.
he had the big comeback, like all that. But just my dad is very like, All-Star games are fucking bullshit. Like that type of. That's how you would talk about. That. Like you can hear my dad.
Well, and
that's like very classic him. So the Pro Bowl never on in my house.
And the Pro Bowl was the worst of the worst. It's always been the worst of the All-Star games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least they played a little bit then. I mean, it was just like now. But to your point, last time I really watched it was whenever the Eagles were in there and represented well, you just watch it because the Eagles players are playing, and that was it. But yeah, I mean. Now, so what they're going to do now is just still be voted as a Pro Bowler, but you just get a bonus and some trophy or whatever, and that's it. No more playing the game, though.
Are they getting rid of All Pro, or is that going to live concurrently?
Still
going
to be there.
See, that doesn't make any sense.
It does.
It's like All Pro was supposed to be like that's the highest honor, right? And it should still be the highest honor.
Yes.
Like if you're getting rid of the Pro Bowl game, I don't really see the point in having the Pro Bowl distinction because it's serving now the same exact purpose. I agree. But
I agree.
What do I know?
Yeah. They were relegated to playing flag football and it's like
look, I get it. I don't want any Eagles guys getting hurt in the Pro Bowl.
Nah. What was the one running back from the Rams? He had a really good rookie year and he was playing beach football with like flag football. It was playing flag football on the beach because they changed it again, some of the things that they were doing. And he tore his ACL or messed up his knee.
It wasn't Todd Gurley.
No, it wasn't Todd Gurley. It was another Rams running back that hurt himself in one of those. I think it was the Rams. I could be wrong.
You think about Ty Chandler? He injured it against the Rams.
No. This was
this
was in one of these exhibition post-season type of games. I would have to look it up and we can bring it back up on the show.
Yeah, I'm blanking on this.
Yeah, it was because he had a really good rookie year, and it wasn't Steven Jackson. No, it was somebody.
There's someone from the Patriots, Robert Edwards.
That's who it was. Sorry.
In the rookie Beach Bowl 4-on-4 game.
Rookie Beach Bowl.
Yes.
You can't get hurt doing that.
He tore his knee up, right? Or was it?
Horrific knee injury, landing after jumping to defend a pass,
no pads, no helmet, no anything, and then he just rips up his knee. Yep.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That
was tough.
He hung around. Well,
but he
was in the league a couple of years.
Yeah.
Then he went to the CFL.
He really showed out in his rookie season, and he wasn't supposed to. And who knows what his career would have looked like going forward.
Yeah. I'm at the point where All-Star games, I'm good on. We've gone back and forth on this. I think the main thing for me is that part of the appeal of the All-Star game in the first place was, we don't get to see these guys play all the time, like the East versus West, where there are only two of those games. I think in baseball it was even more pronounced because when we lived in a world where it was you just win the pennant, it's like, oh my God, these guys, and there's no interleague play. Like Ken Griffey Jr. never plays against the Phillies or, vice versa. So there's like a real novelty feel to having those guys on the field together. And then that's the last time they'll see one another in many cases until potentially the championship, like the World Series. So that I completely understand. Now it's, these guys all know each other from playing AAU and all this stuff. They play interleague in baseball. They play plenty in, all the respective sports. So I don't know. I don't think there's as much of a point anymore. No. I think there's a way to still do like all the all-star events. Like I still love the 3-point contests and all that, but the writing is on the wall for this stuff. I think it is still for
and they've
kids.
tried a lot of
kids still like
they do
it,
like
but
it. Yeah, they've tried a lot of things,
Look,
but nothing has really hit with the changes.
I was gonna say, I'm sure when they make the 5th change to the All-Star game in a row, this will be the one that
people
finally
seem happy
fixes
with
it.
this year. Said I didn't watch. I don't think a single minute of it.
It was all right. I watched it. It was all right, but still,
I did watch VJ, and that was fun for us, right? Like he had his moment in the rookie sophomore event. Like he was great. Had a few like big time moments, but
the magic is no longer there for the All-Star.
We're also just old.
Turn the lights out for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, darkness.
Turn the lights out, not down, out. for the Pro Bowl.
This thing that was
games.
cool when I was younger, not so cool anymore.
Not
It's funny how that
anymore.
works.
All right, that'll do it for news and notes, everybody. Let's get to the world famous roll call
Thank you, everybody,
on the way out.
for being here today. Thank you to Haidar, checking in from overseas.
Can't wait to see you when you get here, Haidar.
AA Ron, Provolone John, Wawa Marvel.
Wow, Marvel. What up?
I'm going to save this name until later because I keep laughing when I see it. Thank you to Evan's Travel Channel, Remo K, Val, who showed up late but was here.
Hey,
Thank
Val.
you, Val. Always, Val likes to be like, sorry, I'm late.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
you're
guys
allowed
are-
to be
yeah.
timely for the show that
You guys are allowed to, like, I would love to have you here minute 1 to minute whatever we end on, but also
Yeah.
real life gets in the way. I get it. Real life got in the way for me today, as Devon was hearing about earlier. Thank you to Ronald. Thank you to Peter Tom
Ronnie.
Willis, Jesse Bond, Nail Christian, Antoine,
Twan.
who had a lot of thoughts today. Thank you, Antoine,
What up,
for
Twan?
being active in the chat and for being here as usual. Thank you to Philly Rick. Thank you to Ishmael.
What up, Ish?
It's up to Maximum J, who I believe said, thank you guys for helping. I think they are a mail delivery
Yep.
person. So
Yep.
thank you for helping me get through the day. We
Thank
love to
you.
hear things like that.
You
little
help
tweets
us get through the day.
Funny enough, recently I was at a restaurant near me, went to happy hour, sat down, and I was like, I love listening to you guys every day as we're setting up. They're getting like opening the place before happy hour and all that. It's always nice to hear from people that we help get through the day, talking about, Oreo KFC sandwiches and whatever else, all-star
Did you hear
games.
about that?
still
That was-
disgusting.
Oh, Julia, oh no, you don't want to know.
Chicken sandwich from KFC where the bun is an Oreo.
Thank you to mom's grandchildren. Thank you to
Out.
my
and they
girl
had
Nona.
mashed potatoes in the middle of it, Julian.
Forgot about that.
What's up, Nona? What's
Hey,
up
Nona.
what's up to Iko, K Fergie, Eugene Ross, Hedva, of course, Jazz, who Jazz said Bachelorette weekend this weekend. Hopefully Jazz has a
Oh,
good
yeah.
time at her bachelorette.
And remember, she had the wisdom
Look at
teeth
that.
pulling. Jules,
Oh,
too. Look
And
at that.
she's thugging it out. Wisdom
Thugging it
teeth
out.
out.
Well,
Bachelorette party.
Julie doesn't
Let's
have to worry
go.
about that one.
Thankfully, Julia does not have that same problem. Jazz,
Have fun, Jazz.
have a great time. Thank you to Bob Law, Marcus Blackstock, K Red, Sir Reef. And I have to end on
Reef.
Well, Between and Unseen. Got to say that one, of
Not
course.
between and unseen.
But
Especially when it's raining.
Smelly Garage Fluids was in the chat today. It's talking some junk, but the name was very funny. So thank you to Smelly Garage Fluids. Thank you to all of you for being here. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button on this video. We had a good time today. We have a good time always. Well, most of the time. Hit the thumbs up button if you had a good time, and hit the thumbs up button to say thank you to Julia stepping
Jules.
into the producer's chair today.
Have a great
Hitting
time
that.
at your bachelorette
That's right.
weekend.
Stay out of trouble. That's what I would say. Please hit the thumbs up button on this video if you want to help the show, if you want to help out company, the crew, everybody who works here, so we can do events like the Ospreys last night, so we can do this
time.
show.
What up, Jay?
So we
What
can
up,
all just
Tim?
have a good time each and every day. Yeah, Jay Walk checking in here at the end. Hello to Jay. Also hit the subscribe. Saying too many words.
Bloopers.
Got to get out of here. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications each and every time that we go live. Next time will be Friday, 3 p.m., last show of the week. Until then, stay safe, take care of one another. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.